Ant-Man and the Wasp. Well, now we know what Ant-Man was up to during Avengers Infinity War. So before I shrink down and give you guys my thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp and things get weird, I wanted to let you know that this video is sponsored by Marvel Puzzle Quest, which is a free-to-download app from the Apple App Store, Google Play, Amazon App Store, and Steam. This is Marvel's only match-3 puzzle RPG available on your mobile device, and you can download it with the link down below. There's more than 150 heroes and villains packed into this game. You can customize your teams, your alliances. It's a fun, addictive game. You can play some of your favorite Marvel heroes like Ant-Man, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Deadpool, Captain America. And did I mention it's free? You can compete in versus tournaments or story events, and you can even join alliances. And you can engage in weekly events and tournaments written by Marvel writers. And once again, speaking of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the game has a ton of in-game content, and they're featuring new characters like the Ghost coming very soon, and other things like the Quantum Realm. And there's a special offer for new players who download Marvel Puzzle Quest using the link down below in the description box. You'll receive free tokens from the Partners in Crime Vault to earn rewards, unlock characters. So if you're in the Marvel mood, the game is completely free to download. I'll put the link down below. You can play as your favorite heroes, your villains, play in alliances, earn rewards. Check it out down below. Ant-Man and the Wasp is the sequel to the 2015 Marvel movie Ant-Man, which was entertaining when I watched it back in the theater in 2015, but it's one of those Marvel films I've never really had a strong desire to go back and rewatch over and over. And no pun intended, but this film compared to the last Marvel film, Avengers Infinity War, which is the biggest, most epic comic book movie we've seen in the last, I don't know, ever? Because after such an epic big event like that featuring every single hero, well, the only thing you can do is go small scale and tell a more simplistic story featuring Ant-Man, and this is essentially what Ant-Man was up to during Avengers Infinity War. Once again, you have Paul Rudd, who's just a likable dude, as Scott Lang, who's an ex-criminal, well, sort of technically an ex-criminal who committed an act of terrorism by helping Captain America out in Civil War, but we'll talk about that another time. And in this movie, Scott Lang is on house arrest, which they did mention in Avengers Infinity War, along with Hawkeye also being on house arrest. Now, the first act of this movie features a large segment with Scott Lang being bored, stuck in his house, making these big elaborate fun houses out of cardboard boxes. He's also playing Guitar Hero and picking up other odd hobbies. And I gotta be honest, I could have watched an hour-and-a-half comedy movie with Paul Rudd where the main plot was a guy stuck on house arrest, just being a dude in his house all day. I would have liked to have seen that movie. Like, I think I would have rather have seen that movie. For me, it was the most entertaining 20 minutes of the movie. I wanted to see more of that. It almost had a Disturbia vibe, without the serial killer subplot mixed in there. So what's the plot to this movie? Well, when Hank Pym's past is brought back up, Ant-Man and the Wasp team up to save the day. And essentially, Ant-Man and the Wasp is one big rescue mission movie, where Ant-Man, the character, almost takes a back seat for the majority of the movie. And speaking of the Wasp, played by Evangeline Lilly, I thought she was great in the role. She's kicking a lot of ass throughout the movie. She's great as the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp features a ton of comedic moments, and some people might be able to make the argument some of the comedy moments take you out of the scene, but for me, this is one of the superhero franchises in the Marvel Universe that lends itself so perfectly to comedy, where I just expect them to completely go for it and almost have a slapstick vibe at times. I love the concept of shrinking things down for comedic effect. I don't know why, just shrinking things down that are large, smaller, make me giggle, like buildings or Pez dispensers or cars or this little Deadpool right here. Look at that. Look how small it is. One of my favorite things about the original Ant-Man film was that epic train sequence where you have Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket fighting, and it looks so epic and climactic. That's comedic genius. And I sort of wanted this movie to feature more of that in it. That's not to say that we don't get some action sequences that are reminiscent, but I would still say that train sequence in the first Ant-Man movie is better than any scene in this movie. And one more positive thing I wanted to mention about this movie is, before we dive into negatives, I got a lot of negatives, but I did want to mention that I really enjoy Michael Douglas in this film. He adds the gravitas to the character of Hank Pym that I think this kind of movie needs. You need a classic, well-trained actor in these movies, and that's what Michael Douglas brings. It's just a level of gravitas. I just said gravitas. What a pseudo-intellectual, self-indulgent term to use. So with that said, let's dive into the negatives. Now, a very large majority of the plot of this movie revolves around the quantum realm, which is an alternative dimension where anything can conveniently happen to help carry the plot of the movie along. No worries, I won't spoil anything, but a large majority of this movie does revolve around the quantum realm. It's kind of an essential plot point to the movie, and it explains how characters come and go, and just all these things revolve around this one thing, and they never truly explain how it works, how people are affected by it, and I felt like I was cheated by that. All I'm saying is a little bit more explanation about the quantum realm throughout this film would have been nice to help me buy into the plot, or maybe care about some of the characters a little bit more than I did, but I didn't. I just watched Ant-Man shrink down and get big a few times, and there were some fun action sequences that were really well done, and some jokes that were funny I giggled at. But other than that, this movie, it just felt like cruise control. I didn't really feel anything, I wasn't emotionally impacted by anything. And I know this is a Marvel movie and I'm supposed to love it no matter what, but I truly just felt like I was watching a filler movie, because Marvel wants to put out multiple movies every year, and this is one of those movies where they need to bridge the gap between two bigger movies. And we got Ant-Man and the Wasp. And listen, it's not like every single Marvel film has to be huge and epic where the hero saves the planet from destruction. I love small-scale stories, but you have to care about the characters and the plot to get into them. And I don't feel like Ant-Man and the Wasp does a very good job at immersing you into the movie and explaining the things that they want you to care about. And as far as the antagonists and villains of this movie go, well, some of them are generic bad guys, and the other is a character by the name of Ghost. And the character of Ghost is affected by the quantum realm throughout the movie, but I didn't feel like that villain was a very clear-cut villain. It was sort of just another person dealing with some issues. I don't really feel like this movie has a strong villain. But once again, the villains in this film almost don't matter. This movie is essentially one big rescue mission. Now, here are my final flicking thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp. Let me take a drink of this. I would say I definitely enjoy the first Ant-Man film much more than this one. I think as far as a film goes, the first one did a better job in every single aspect as far as screenwriting, presenting a villain, setting up characters, explaining the plot to the film. This film, Ant-Man and the Wasp, is very weak in so many different aspects. And it truly does feel like a forgettable movie no one's going to remember 6 months down the road, so I'm going to give Ant-Man and the Wasp, I know, please, don't hurt me. I like Ant-Man. I have the Ant-Man helmet back there. I have a Captain America shirt. It's not that I don't like Marvel. I just like good movies that I want to go back and rewatch, and that's a slightly negative grade, I know, and there are aspects of this movie that really do work, but overall, I just wasn't into this movie. I didn't think they really had a plot that made me care about it, and they especially didn't explain different elements of the plot to make me get immersed into the story they were trying to tell me, and that's just lazy screenwriting. So that's my grade. Those are my thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now here's my question for you guys, and let me know down below. If you've seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, what'd you think about it? Let me know down below. Or what is your least favorite movie in the Marvel Universe? I'd probably go with Thor Part 2. Yeah. Dark Elves? Nah. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. That way I can see you next time, and I will see you next time. There's like 5 videos I'm editing right now at the same time. My eyeballs are bleeding out of my head. I'll see you guys next time.